them. It's going to give him a bit of aggression there, but no one pounces just yet here. On the top side of the mountain, Muzz will get Miro positioned up, pushing up onto Kanata, DJ, and Aegis as well. So depending on how this next zone unfolds, we might see some big clashes here. These are some of the biggest names right now housed up pretty close to one another.
Yeah, they're all on the side, and that shows something about the fact that in the previous zone, this hill was such a power position. So a lot of the big names understood where they need to go, and they got there much earlier than some of these other players. It's actually really good to see that Bugha's team had 3 eliminations, obviously in comparison to the previous game where we saw them really struggle getting 0. So for them, they're looking really good, so I hope they do well. And that 5th zone actually pulled here. So they pulled to this far east side where a lot of the top teams are. But for teams like Yomzo, Qua, and Paper, who have quite a long way to rotate, I think they're going to have to start using some of their mobility. But hold on, they managed to pick up the first elimination. Well, this fight will stay on TK, which is now actually their 8th elimination so far. So things are absolutely heated up while we just switched off of them here.
Listen, this trio is going for a record right now. They're officially at 8 eliminations this early into the rotate right now. And there's a couple players sitting up on top of them. So big moves to be had and made here. Not only that, they should be poised up with plenty of loot as far as accessibility to launchpad goes. And yes, this is why they're starting to branch out right now, look outwards, start to figure out, okay, is the coast clear? Where are we going to land? How are we going to do this right now? One thing worth mentioning, by the way, Miro finds Rise in the feed. So that clash that we expected to potentially go down ends up happening there. Commandment Fangs Nounzy. And you know what? This means Bugha pulls another 50-50 zone, by the way. So about 3 50-50 zones so far inside out of the 4 games we've played already.
Yo, can't be complaining about zone RNG, but
marketable.
Right now they've definitely managed to capitalize on that position that they're in. 100% Rise obviously down on the bottom there, not in a great spot. Up on high ground, we see a Zervo's team who's been shaking things up big time, but Paper, Yomzo, and Qua managed to make it up onto almost height, actually. Remember, they had a rough rotate from that north side, and they managed to get all the way above basically the entire lobby bar 1, so they're second height from now. And with only 50 builds left on Paper, now getting split, this team cannot be too healthy on materials. So despite the 8 eliminations they have, which is very impressive so far, they're definitely going to need to get some refreshes, probably the end of this first moving zone.
You know what? It kind of balances out, though. The fact they have another launch pad is just going to save their material either way. But Rise and Threats are getting lobby focused here. Once again, there's no Edgy here. Edgy, I thought, was going to be the difference maker here in the end game, but he just has not caught a lucky break to stay alive right now. So it's up to Threats and Rise, once again, who have that duo synergy already built to stay alive here and make it work. The launch pad gets caught, though. No! Threats could not make it there in time, and he gets picked off. What looks like now being fully finished off by Muzz here. He gets the accessible loot as it lands inside his box. And yes, it was Muzz who picked him off there, but now Muzz and crew stay a little too late behind the zone here. He gets focused as well. Even with the zone, Muzz goes down a little too early. Bugha inches his way in on foot instead of taking that very treacherous launch pad there, and he manages to stay alive for a little bit longer.
A little bit of panic. They didn't want to make sure the same thing happened to them as what just happened to Edgy's team. But now again, for the 3rd time, Bugha or 2 members of this team left in the end game as a duo. So let's see what they can do. If this team could get into the end game as a full trio, we could see some absolute dominance from them. But so far, it's solo or duos over and over again. And if they manage to get a top 5 out of that, that'll be extremely impressive. But a full trio, Stretch, Scented, and Commandment, which should surprise absolutely no one at this point.
Look at this. They're pretty much bouncing right back here, getting their heels on, and this is going to fully tank them out with all the HP they're going to need here to take any kind of box fight. But the reads are so good right now, and this is where Commandment really steps in and shows his value here. He will lead his team to the proper layer in these end games. And look at this, they're going to double back instead. They're going to go back through their old builds and continue to push right on back over, and that's going to save them a ton of material here. Bugha is still alive up top. It looks like he's getting hunted down there, but Miro's going to find Rise, so he manages to completely finish that one off here.
What a great layer they found all the way to the edge of the zone. Managing to find the dead side is always the Commandment, the best tarper in the world. Managed to find a good position, but now they're unfortunately getting towards where all the congestion is, but a player manages to drop them down and Stretch now in a stick situation. Scented goes down and Stretch manages to get out of the box. But for him, Commandment still, look at this, despite the chaos, creating such great positions for his teammates to tunnel in. So they've lost Scented, but now still in a duel. Two of the best players on the region, definitely can capitalize and get a ton of points still.
This is what we talked about. Stretch's mechanical skill, grossly underrated. What can he do when he's in the low ground here, where you have to make snappy decisions, quick edits, and hit your shots, most importantly here. And this is where Stretch manages to figure it out. He finds Kanata, one of the other greatest on the other side of the wall, boxes up the next here. Can he get the finish? Of course he can. He is one of the greatest, and he is still up and kicking here. That's a two-piece pickup in the low ground. Down goes Agers, Degen, and Kanata. One more team separates them from being fully in control of this layer here.
Absolute incredible piece, incredible shots hit at the same time, and back up atop. Another duel still left in it. Booga Miro, who've made a great job making himself this far, and it seems like Miro is now the one who's going to be tarping them in, and Booga's looking for the shots, looking for the angles, but 0 builds left in his inventory. Now a big pump comes through from onto Miro, picking up another elimination. More materials from them now as the pressure starts to come from up on the high ground. They're going to have to decide which layer they're going to switch. Are they going to go down? Are they going to look up? What are they going to do at this point as the materials dwindle down to absolute 0 on him? And up on the high ground, Crackley's team is starting to put eyes down on the whole lobby.
And Stretch and Commandment are still going. They just picked up another 2. Down goes Paper here to the hands of Stretch. There goes the full finish. He is still continuing. Commandment runs through Qua, sits him down as well off camera, and look at this. They're at 6 eliminations. Another 12-point swing just off of Elam's alone. Tieko up against Miro and Booga here. No HP to work with. They can't find a good angle. Booga's gonna have to give it up here. He's gonna go and play the zone. Tries to walk around the side. Missed the first pump. That's gonna be crucial for him and pivotal. Down he goes, but into top 3. The rest of the lobby remains here. Iamzo is alive. Scratch that. He's no longer in the game. Stretch and Commandment have a realistic chance here to clutch this one out.
They managed to do this as almost a full duo during the moving zones. I've seen it's picked up so much earlier. The incredible mechanical and just raw skill of Stretch and Commandment going into this end game has proven why they as a duo picked up 8 eliminations down on the low ground. The spray comes out. Tieko drops down. Gold down even further. Stretch down in the elimination feed. Now Commandment down to Tieko is gonna pick up the entire victory royale there alongside Crackley and Gold as well in game number 4.
Tieko, Crackley, and Gold are on one of the craziest comebacks. Like we said at the start of all of this, we saw them just have such a ridiculous and difficult time at their draw spot. They gave it up, Reese, and now they're finding success in the last 2 games.
I mean, they had 8 points. 8 points coming into that game. And with a big victory out with a bunch of eliminations at the same time, that's definitely going to throw them way higher up in the leaderboards. And, you know, 2 games left. Maybe they could keep that roll going.
Yeah, definitely. Hey, we're going to have to toss it on over to desk to find out. That's enough from us here. This is really starting to heat up here, guys.
Oh my goodness, once again, Stretch just doing what Stretch does. I mean, just coming around corners, blindsiding enemies box to box, picking up the likes of people like Kanata in his way. He is absolutely a terror. And you know, Vivid, I feel like especially being able to do this and look so calm. There's never a situation where I'm watching Stretch's gameplay where I think, oh, he's losing it here, or like, oh, he seems shaky. Like, no, even in these situations where he should not be allowed to operate, where in every sense he should be like backed against the wall, cowering for life, he's like, no, I'm ready to open up a box. I'm ready to edit on 3 other people because I know I will down them. It's insane.
I mean, yeah, that's the level these guys got to play at, right? And not only do they have to have the speed, but they have to have the brains and know how to be able to use that, right? Know which situation that they are in are going to be favorable for them and how they can advance their position and make it even more favorable for them. We're going to take a look at Colazo, Lazar, and Trashy because they have been creeping up the leaderboard, though they did just have an unfortunate game 4, and we haven't really been talking about them a lot. So basically wanted to highlight them because, you know, game 1 they came out and they showed us like, hey, we're going to have the higher ground coming out game 1, even though we typically don't have it. So I'm excited about this trio this season because last season they played very, very well, but I don't think we really ever saw them on high ground, and they were an existing trio last season, right? No changes were made. So coming in this season, hopefully they've made improvements like we saw in game 1, the higher ground, something new. So maybe they have some new strats, new tactics that they are willing to show us.
Yeah, they certainly are. I mean, they came 11th last year, and who knows how this year. But, you know, we know for a fact at this point, I think, Commandment, Sensei, and Stretch almost solidifying now their progression into the final phases of this competition this season. I mean, just an absolute masterclass. We saw the one pump on Canard, as we mentioned, but I think that's the great thing about this trio as well. Kamama and Stretch, despite losing Scented earlier on, they just nothing changed. They just kept going, and that is why they're top of the leaderboard right now with 145 big ones. 25 eliminations, our top 3 trios right now, and with Paper's trio and little Casca and Smacked as well, all 25 eliminations. Muzmir Booga slipping back into that top 5 position as well with 23 eliminations, and you can see in 5th position is Edgy, Rise, and Threats with 15. That being the big difference there. You can see Sice Cold and Elite there right at the bottom, 21 eliminations, getting quite close as well. But you can see at the top of the leaderboards right now between 5th and 1st position, there are 44 points between 1st position and there, but only 1 point. I mean, DJ Ages and Canada there, 1 point outside of the top 5 there, Vivid. It's very tight.
Yeah, I mean, that top 5 spot is what these players are fighting. fighting for, right? Because it gives you a guaranteed spot in the finals. But that standings page there, that first page, is nothing short of what we expected, right? I mean, Scented, Commandment, and not Edgy, but Stretch. It wants to come out every single time. I'm like,
I
hey,
told you.
We're all thinking it. We're thinking it.
You know, their guys are on top. That's what we were all thinking, especially me. Right?
Yeah, I mean, two games to go as well. I was going to say 2 games to go now. We're getting really close to kind of like, you know, the kind of like the culmination of this first qualifier. And already now, like whatever strategy you've come into this with, we saw right at the beginning it was quite reserved. Now we're seeing that it is quite literally all guns blazing, trying to get as many points as possible. They have to do that now, our teams, because obviously there's only 2 weeks worth of qualification, Zeke. So everything is to play for. You need to get those points. We're going to start to ramp things up.
Yeah, and I mean, even thinking back to who just won this game, right? Teco, Golden, Crackly, 9 eliminations, the Victory Royale. They came up from 30th place, right? Now, again, they may not make top 5, but at the end of the day, you're still playing for series point leaderboard, right? If you can hit somewhere high on that, that might make sure that you make it into semifinals, which is 2 weeks from now. Yeah. So for all these trios, you're right, man. They have to put their foot on the gas if they want to compete, if they want to ensure they have a spot in finals. Now, of course, we still have 1 more week of qualifiers, right? So at very worst, they can come back next week, they can reset themselves and potentially look to make a top 5 there, or at least place high enough to secure themselves that spot. But with that being said, it's more game time. We only have 2 games left here from NA East. It has been a blur. I'm excited to see the next 2 games, but I'm also sad because we only have 2 games left in qualifier 1. I'm gonna miss you guys so much, but that's later on stuff. Okay, all right, MDF Reese, we're kicking it back your way for the next game of the FNCS. Over to you.
2 more crucial games in front of us right now remain here, Reese, and it's getting insane because the standings, the points are so close. I mean, all the way on down to top 11. Like, how do you choose any of these? How can we not just be able to fuck everyone straight to finals? It's gonna be heartbreaking because we are looking at some exceptional play from all of our competitors right now.
It's going to be absolutely heartbreaking for the teams who are on the boundary who don't make it, but so many teams have the potential to after game number 4. With 2 games left, anything can happen. Any of these teams in the top 10 can fumble. They can be beaten at this moment. These teams are not invincible by any means. Commandment, Scented, and Stretch, you know, maybe they are. Maybe they've already punched their ticket, but we'll have to find out exactly from them to see, see if they've managed to punch their ticket all the way through. But for the teams down below that, second down the way, all the way up, those other slots are definitely still open.
Yeah, listen, if someone doesn't like completely land on them the next 2 games, which this game already uncontested again, yeah, it's over. They've made it. 2 more games in front of them, shouldn't have a single issue here. But it is still, you know, impressive to see how close the other teams are, right? Like Qua, Iamzo, and Paper are just playing exceptional. I think no one expected them. You know what I mean? Like when it just came down to predictions, we did not have Iamzo, Paper, and Quad the discussion there. Neither did we have Niddle, Casper, and Smack, who again are contested at Retail Row up until this moment and have really managed to not only win the drop, but even with the scrappy loadouts, even with the scrappy loot, find their way into a top 3 position is just so impressive. I'm mind boggled and blown away by the consistency of these trios.
Absolutely. I'd put, just checking back through my full top 10 predictions, I'd put Kwa, Iamzo, and Paper in 6th. So I put them not to qualify, but just, and they're definitely proving the top 5, right? I know, exactly. They're looking super strong. I'm going to say I put Nil, Casker, and Smacked up there because the same reason you said, the awkward fights going on. And I was about to say I didn't put this team in. I actually did put this team into my top 10 right now. Calc's team, I was a believer. But so far, this early game fight at Craig Cliffs, which was Calc's old home, doesn't seem to be working out too well for them.
Yeah, are they mixing up the drop right now here? Just trying to get back into some early, old, trusty kind of battlegrounds here for Calc right now. It's not looking too hot. He barely has anything to work with. No shotgun either, so missed opportunities there to find one. And instead, he's going to get a huge one off the Spark. This is essentially feeding them up some points here. But yes, I do agree. Calc and company, although they may be having a rough day today, they're not a trio to count out by any means. For Perta, Sparky, and Redux here, I mean, great on them to go ahead and win the drop here. Make it look nice and easy for themselves. Find those a couple of elims here. Those are points that they also need.
In those points, indeed, like you said, that's a crucial 6 points that's moved them on up. Hopefully, maybe they've been struggling with some surge in previous games, and now that fight off spawn may just just helped them. Calix previously was dropping in Steamy Stacks and contested, and obviously struggling with Storm Surge and multiple kind of mid to early late games. So they, like you said, went back to this trusty home drop spot. Shame it didn't work out for them so much, but like I said, for a Purtus team, this is looking really good. And if we get that full map view, we can see the full distribution of the teams right now, and everyone's kind of relatively evenly split so far. The fights have ended in nearly all of these drop spots, and you can see teams in Kai corner, you can see the Misty team, and she'll be Muzz's team. You know, everything's calm right now. Everyone's just evenly spread, distributed, and this is where the players are just looting before they all get booting and rotating.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this is the time to do it right here. And a different pace, right, for game 5, especially this late into the tournament series. Typically, the pacing just, you know, the train derails, right? Let's just be honest. The train pushes off the tracks and everyone gets W feed. But not in FNCS. FNCS get just a different temperature check going on up in here, and you can tell the players take it seriously down to the final moments, because at the end of the day, they're still also playing for consistency points. But more importantly, we've seen comeback stories like top 5 can realistically be achieved with all the placement points you got up to that point, and then 2 big pop-off games at the end, especially with the way this Elim format favors the points.
You got to think, if you're like 20th right now and you've probably had 1 good game, right, and the other 3 not so good games, to put it nicely, you've got to say, am I confident in the fact that I could be aggressive and W key this entire lobby if I've probably lost 3 fights out of the 4 that I've taken so far? Chances are probably not, right? So when it comes to this 5th game, a lot of the teams who are lower down aren't in that confidence zone yet where they could win the fights. When it gets to the 6th game, confidence is irrelevant because they're just going for the fights. This is an all or nothing play at that time. So game 5 is always a really awkward one where we've got to check in and be like, should we key, should we not? Guys like Gold, Crackling, Tieko, who obviously picked up the previous victory royale in that last game, they're ones who almost perfectly fit that mark, as they were, what, 8 points did I say before? Now they're up till 18 with the victory royale. So 3 bad games and a victory royale for them. So we've got to figure out their play style. Are they feeling confident? Obviously they're getting a little bit too close to Booga's team, getting beamed up big by the automatic sniper here, and now they're backing off. So definitely a team that's not going to be taking a lot of fights.
And one more decent game for them, and then all of a sudden they are just inside the striking distance here for the final game, sliding on in. So this is why you don't give up like really honestly ever, especially when you have multiple games of Fortnite left over. For Quad Eons on paper, they just get their car really banged up, but luckily it's not enough to go in and force them out of the vehicle here. They get to a key position where they can go ahead and get their brick as a part of their rotating and their strategy. Ethor and Boxer on the other hand are just in a little bit of a scrappy fight here, playing the low ground right now. And judging by the silhouettes of the opponents here, they're starting to get swarmed in.
This is exactly the same spot that we watched the same thing happen last game, but this time it's Day. Jamper Tragics who's moved on in. These are the guys who pulled up in that car, remember, in that previous fight, as it was Calc that was fighting in this spot against Boxer's team. Now it's Day's team, who looks like they want to get fully involved in this fight. They want to see what Pix has to offer, or Pikes has to offer. And so far with them, they're on 28 points total. So I was gonna say Day's gonna feel confident about that. Definitely a team who'd be happy to take this fight, but the amount of materials they've invested, they're just gonna hit the dip and disengage.
Yeah, they're out. Jack Acorn and Slash on the other side, taking a fight here in the low ground, but the floor is on fire. Got to be careful here. That will do tons of damage, and looks like a siphon might have come through. I don't know where the extra health came from, but what just happened?
We'll see. Playing that charge down on the low ground. So they can do if they can get some angles. Like I said, the single elimination has come through so far. This will be them rolled up onto our previous game winners if this other team hasn't moved from this previous fight. Remember that. That'll be a team who just won, who's moved on up to 18, which was Tieko's team. Now That looks like they're going to get aggressive, jump on into the box and hit every single shot. That's the end of it. That's Raps. They got the chili chug splashes. They also managed to get the launch pad, but Slacks goes down to, I'm guessing it's probably Buzz's team spraying from a distance down in Misty Meadows. Yeah, and there's Miro looking on in. I don't think any of these engagements will actually end up happening because both these teams need to be careful. Both these teams have a chance to make it in the top 5, and with those points, that's almost moving Slacks, Acorn, Jack up into a top 5 position so far. So neither team's going to want to do anything silly. They're just going to be slow, calculated, and that's exactly what you want to see. That's actually very aggressive from Miro's team not to push on in. I'm sure, again, there were some comms that they wanted to fight that. Let's be real.
Yeah, that was a key engagement right there. And let's just talk about the significance of those points. This puts them quite hand in hand right now with Degen Agers and Kanata, who are at 100 points there. Mind you, just a point off from that, Threats, Edgy, and Rise. So you saw in the distance they were making their rotate on out. So a little too late to that fight there. Couldn't get a piece of the action like they were hoping to find. And they're just gonna have to find their rotates in and take a different fight, right? So big classes are gonna come soon for, especially for a team like Threats, Edgy, and Rise, who didn't get to take advantage of the third party and find those tags. So I'm kind of interested to see where they're going to end up on the Storm Surge when it becomes active.
I am too. And you'll see the exact same thing for Storm Surge for Quaz team. Look at the elevation that they've built themselves in here. Look at the depth that they've managed to rotate their team in to go all the way through to this high ground spot right now that they've built all the way up. Look at the angles that they get, the vision they have over the entire team rotating. This is extremely early to rotate in, and they've got themselves such a good spot. So far, a little quick stat is Quaz team is the only team with multiple 10+ elimination games. So 2 double-digit games so far. The rest of them not looking too shabby either.
And one of those double-digit games was that first place victory royale in game number 2. So big game for them. And then, of course, coming off that massive 12 elim run that they just finished up in the top 3 there. So huge games, truly carrying them up the standings here. On the other side, we have a bit of a fragmented Aperta, Sparky, and Redux, who have managed to split up. And this is just in the hands of a 2-man fight between Pose and X and B right now.
And Pose, X, and B consistently getting into fights. Very repeatedly so far. We've seen them through all the games basically do the same. Redux obviously won the fight in Craggy Cliffs against Calc's team without too much difficulty already. Seems like now they're just gonna have to not really want to get into this engagement. I think they probably picked up the other elimination, given that they have 4 total. They're just gonna dip on out, find a spot to rotate to. And good job. Their edge zone, no point in taking that fight.
Yeah, definitely no point. On the other side, Donnie and Joji here taking another fight inside the Weeping Woods as all the trees have been set ablaze here. So this is really going to start opening up some sight lines they haven't already start to formulate here. Floor is on fire, so these trios down low do have to be careful here. and the advantage is on them. There goes the cone here. He sets it up, but no, shot from behind. No, actually, that's the Flames coming through. That's what we're talking about. But you have to be careful when you jump on down. They knew the risk was there. And look at this. Their whole team gets punished there. Joji loses tons of HP, and so does Donnie. They're going to be pretty much forced to back up now.
Be forced to back up. Get on out of there. See what they can do, right? Because for now, it looked like a good play, right? They were going with the pre-edit play. You could see Donnie was holding the pre-edits out. They jumped down on the fire. Joji gets beamed in the back from the other team. The fire also tags at the same time. So they are looking kind of desperate, right? They had no information onto Piggy's team and how much they'd actually dealt in terms of damage, and they just wanted to jump on into the pre-edit play. So to me, that shows me that Donnie's getting very desperate at this point. Same thing, they're trying to do the same thing again as full Piggy team's getting pressured, and I think now Echo is even on the far side, may have to start pressuring in too, and this could be a full lobby split with the amount of teams who are rotating around in this position.
Yeah, and there's a team rotating right in, pretty hot and direct here. Looks like they're coming in swift. Could be a vehicle rolling up, and there it is, right from behind where they had their guard let down. And someone's banging that drum right behind them, hitting those walls here, ready to get inside the builds. Here comes the AR shots from behind, and all of a sudden, Donnie, who had a virtually uncontested battle and skirmish going on, gets fully rolled up on by Cease and Cold straight out of the Coral Castle. On the other side, Stretch, no HP. He gets harpooned on into the box. It's up against Queka. A beautiful shot there onto Quack to go in and buy him some time, and Sente comes on down to the rescue here. Now Sente does have the chug splashes here. These are going to be pivotal for their HP to bounce back in, and instead of using them, instead they're going to go for the full med kit here, trying to value out right now. And this is the calm demeanor of an exceptional trio.
Exactly what we want to see from our current first place team so far. Still on 145 points, right? They've not gained anything, so if they were to go down in that fight, there's potential they wouldn't qualify, but luckily they're slow, they're playing things out, and if they even manage just to get to that top 24 teams, which will give them that +5 placement points, I think that should be them guaranteed 100%. And I say that, my maths can definitely be wrong and has been wrong before. I don't want to fully commit to that, but it seems like for them, they're just playing slow. They know what they need to do. Gain a couple other points. I've already seen Sent a tweet that he's dropping in Lazy Lake in the finals. They're confident they've already qualified.
Yeah, they know it. They're feeling it right now, and honestly, a couple more Elans would just put the icing on the cake. Here comes the breakdown. Simply catches the player there, and then the follow-up onto Quack. And Scented makes it look nice and easy here, as he does not miss a single shot there. And you watched how dangerous the shotgun can be there when it's fully charged out there. That charged shotgun, man, can do some massive damage.
I don't think he even took a shot back. They just let him in and just all hit the pumps at the same time. That was great. They were holding the floors. They just instantly stopped holding all at the same time, took the pumps out, hit the same shots. Made life so easy for them. So great job from them again. Just the kind of of plays you see from top tier teams, the reason they're at the top of the leaderboard. That's the easiest, probably, let's be real, the easiest 6 points of the day for them.
I mean, honestly, for all we they could have just had the floor pre-edited because there wasn't any time between when they took that floor and those players came down. So I would not be surprised if they used that very unique tech. And that happens when players kind of put themselves in those positions, like pre-edits. As much as people might have rivaled or rallied for, disable them. No, you see how they can come in use as people start to figure out creative strategies when the time calls for it. But back over with Colossal, Lazar, and Trashy, who really need these Elans right here if they want to qualify tonight. Like, with how close the standings are starting to get here, remember, top 5 being the cutoff. They're hanging on by a thread right now, right? They didn't quite have the last game that they were looking for. Top 25 elimination. They were taken out way too early last game.
Yeah, and they were taken out in this exact spot, the spot that they're at right now on this hill. And if they're going to try and take, I think they are going to go for a zipline play. Please don't. Yeah, don't do Plaza. Oh, come on. Don't. Hang on. Okay, we're good. We're all good. They're not going to hit the zipline play. We know that all of the teams seeing that would absolutely beam them. But to be honest, there's not actually a team at the top of this hill that would be holding them in that position. So I'm not as worried, but still, they made the right call, not going on to it. They managed to get through the storm surge, which they struggled with a lot in the previous game so far. They got to the exact same position on the zone, which is relatively similar for them. Now they have to worry about getting into a good spot in the third zone, right? Relatively centered, with a lot of the players are currently on this congested side, so a little bit deeper in could be big for them, but it seems like they're actually getting into a bit of an engagement in the edge of the zone, and I don't think they picked up that elimination. As there might have been a third party that came through. It was Threats that picked up that just while spraying from a distance. So for them, they get the materials, but they're not going to gain the additional 2 points for that.
Yeah, now they're getting the lobby focus as well, and as that's happening, Colossal gets taken out, and then Days Trio rolls up right from behind here. Tragics and Jamper are going to hop in on Lazar, and Dave finds Lazar P right there as well, and it's just going to be a swift, quick chop there to take these players out. And all of a sudden now, it went from what looked like a honestly beautiful rotate, great pickup for Luke, and just it all crumbled that quickly. And it might be the result of Colossal just putting a little bit too much attention and shots on today. I like to call that when pros take it personal, right? Like, hey, we didn't forget about you. You know, you want to shoot us when we rotate, and now all of a sudden they just followed them right up that ramp and then took them out.
But it is indeed not late rotate, so it's going to put you in that position. All the teams who'd already set themselves up earlier obviously just have sightlines. They can just sit and hold, and that's one of the difficulties of rotating so late like they did. And it inevitably was the end for Colossal's team there. Sentids alongside Stretch and Commandment on the opposite end of that, a team who put themselves into such a good position early on, have all these additional materials from that fight that they had. Obviously, we saw all of those mats are now getting recycled in. They just put themselves into a good spot on the low in the fourth ground, or the fourth zone, and just going to be easy pickings from there on out, I think.
Yeah, definitely. Look at this huge tarp they have here just to get themselves right into the new zone for free. essentially here based off of some additional material they had lying around, as the drone gives us the perfect shot of the other team's struggles here for Speggle, Charlie, and DeRoller. They try to fight their way to the new zone right now, and they have quite a ways to go. For Kanata, Dejan, and Agers, though, the team that needs it most, it seems like they have the high ground and potential zone looking to favor them.
That is indeed as the wide shot goes round. We see the players all set up into their subsequent positions. OMG me with Convicted. Nice little zone. A bit away from everyone else. Same with Cold's team with Cease. Both teams managed to make it out of Coral Castle. A lot of big high ground build up in the middle here. Fired's team alongside Edgy also looking to put themselves into a good position. Slag, Sacorn, Jack still in this game too, and it's all going to come down to where is that fifth zone going to pull. And here's something I'm interested in. Miro, Muzz, and Booga above the Storm Surge threshold. In it is a full trio. Center fourth zone, so they'll have relatively easy rotates to the fifth wherever it pulls. Tons of materials, mobility, heals, ammo. Look, this is a top 5 game. This is a top 5 game for Booga, Muzz, and Miro, and if it's not, something's been misplayed here.
You're telling me they qualified, right?
No, I mean top 5 placement. But that should put them up. They're already
No, it would. It would. Yeah. It will put them up. It will give them just enough there to basically edge out, I think, or be in position to edge out anyone else. And yes, look, here it is. That same call you just made, being center fourth zone is going to pay itself out in spades here as they get a really, really easy rotate. All they have to do is cut across here and not get caught by edgy Threats and Rise. But Threats has got his eyes on the prize here. He's looking back. He's not going to give away a free rotate to anyone right now. He sets up a little trap there. And they back off. Iamzo on the other side has to fight for it, and this is important for Iamzo. On paper, if they go down super early here with no big points, it could spell disaster here. Leaning into the last game, putting all the pressure on him for the last game, and that is not the kind of pressure you want, but it's what is being dealt to Iamzo right now. He managed to out-survive the tags that he needed there for the surge. That is impressive to say the least.
It's impressive, but he's lost Quan paper. And so far, 131. If he goes down without gaining any additional points, which he'll get more if he survives past one more team, still, that is not solidified in first, right? It'll all go down to the final game for Iamzo. So this solo clutch, it's so important for him. So important on the low ground. We see Sent Commandment stretch. Absolutely no, like, I'm not surprised. I know they're gonna be down there. You see Iamzo up above them, still sitting as a solo, trying to be in this full metal box, popping the med kit, trying to get any heals off. And this is going to be huge. Is that the spray coming out now? Yes. It is the spray indeed. So Nosh's team has found where Iamzo is. They know he's a solo because they picked up the 2 eliminations onto his teammates. This is just more materials being drained from Iamzo as maybe he can hit the 1v3. Look, let's be real. I want to see it happening.
Yeah, listen, I am so interested in watching Iamzo's story unfold here. Keep a very close eye on what he's going to be able to do this game here. Because it quite literally is coming down to this game here. If it'll be enough to clutch him up, and the zone is going to be a max distance full. So no one is safe here. Not a single person is at the spear point of this next rotate. But luckily for some, like Commandment, Sense, and Stretch, they just have so much freedom here to move around and gather information here because of the way they have positioned themselves themselves up on this game. They'll have, or be one of the first teams that can actually take a stab at moving here nice and early, so long as no one blocks them out from above. And it seems like the sky is clear for a launch pad right now.
Yeah, it's the problem of being on such a low layer is that often places above you are blocked, but no, they've got a great spot. They managed to hit a full high pad. It doesn't seem like anyone's beam them out of the sky so far. Maybe I speak too soon as the Commandment's HP slowly start to dwindle away. But he seems to be fine. They land a good layer above a team, don't manage to get dropped down so far. And what I want to see is them consistently keeping ahead into this first moving. Maybe going for a double pad so far. That's close. The shot comes into the back of the other player here, and 150 comes up from Stretch. The huge one pump, an almost max damage pump picks up onto DGen. So that is critical for the leaderboard, as DGen was 6th going into this, just underneath the qualification threshold.
Now that was just a finish there. So I see Agers and Kanata right now working the outskirts. Agers does find a launch pad. He's gonna bounce his way on in. D-Rolo is gonna be on his heels pretty closely, and up above Agers is Muzz and Booga. Percentage Stretch and Commandment though, they are positioned up here. 4 eliminations already. They have walked their way into this top 5, and they're looking good while doing it. Edgy's gonna find a huge one there. On to Straw Hat Charlie. He is down. This is just top 5 on top 5 action right there. The players are really fighting for it now. And mind you, we're only inside top 15, so there's not a lot of placement points being given out just yet.
Not many placement points being given up on the high ground. Slacks, Acorn and Jack fighting for it against Nut. Rise is still there onto second height layer. Muzz on the far left, just getting the Booga and Miro also still in this, but I think they're getting tagged by Storm Surge. I'm not entirely sure. It could be the teams down below them. And on height, Acorn and Jack have been picked up, leaving Slacks alive as H Solo near the back of the zone with minimal materials, and he is going down now as well. I think he picked up Nut, and it's going to be Nut picks him back up in return. So Edge, Threat, and Rise, 122 points right now, claiming the high ground. Going into the third moving zone.
This is it. They're trying to put themselves in position to go out and qualify here for the last game right now. But remember, this is just game number 5. So after this one, there's going to be one more important game. Kanata still clutching up right now. He makes the top 10. Kanata, if you do it again here, if you even find a single elim right now, I'm probably going to lose it. He's going to go up against the full trio. Let's see what he's got here. He's holding this ball. It's going to be a close one. Did Iamso make it, though, is another question as well, as we're looking at solo clutch performances here be the difference maker for teams that need to qualify. No, he's going to go down, but it still is going to be a great game for him.
And it's Booga who picked him up, and I saw Miro went down earlier in the feed. So it's a game of duos, a game of solos. Not a huge game of full trios still left in this. We see Jumper Day still in this the low ground, however, and it is Muzz still in this as well. So yet another solo. So Bugha's down, Miro's down. Muzz has to do what he can as a solo in the end game. 3 builds, blue pump, his aim hopefully on point.
Yeah, definitely. Stretch is also just back against the wall here. Low HP. TK has heights. Commandment is left by himself. Stretch goes down. He's got that charge. It's legendary. It's fully ready here to let go. Shot, but no, he's gonna miss it, and that's gonna be the vital mistake for him that gets him taken out of the game right now. Edgy on the other side here, just trying to cushion his way up the top here. He's gonna give up the high positioning because he does not have the material, and this is just movement at its finest there. Day goes down, but he could not get the finish, not at all. Up top, it's Slem and Donnie. Narwhal's gonna find the full Elam there onto Donnie, and this should be their game to close out here.
Should be their game to close out. Tragic still in it as a solo in the mid ground, in the worst position he could possibly be in. The full trio is trying to run straight into his box. OMG me,
nice.
Still in as a full trio on the low ground, but TK takes height up above and he finishes off on the Tragics. It's a 3v3 classic. High ground versus low ground. No heal off on the team up above. They drop down onto low. The shots come in from every single angle. TK trying to play the angle, but he goes down. Slam slip on high ground, getting traded back. He hits the 30 shot, drops down to low ground. The 69 from him. He's finished 2, trades back left and forward. The finish comes through into OMG me, but it's not gonna be enough. They don't end up picking up, and it's gonna be Narwhal, Zlem, and TK who pick up the victory royale in game number 5.
That was a crazy back and forth 3v3 situation there, but Narwhal, Zlem, and TK come out on top. And the difference, by the way, OMG me targeted the wrong down body, so he did not get the siphon there. But how could you know? It's chaotic. Players are dropping like flies there, and he just made the wrong decision there, Reese.
Yeah, I think you're right. A lot of the top teams also, right? Look at the top 2 teams we had in that last game. Were not teams who were in that qualification before. So I would hugely expect the leaderboards to shake up. Let's be real. Standard Commandment and Stretch almost definitely still first, so that's not going to change. But the qualification threshold going into the final game, it's going to be so close.
Yeah, it's getting closer and closer here, guys, as we start approaching the battle bus for the final game. So let's toss on over to Des, because I want to hear the numbers crunch. Who's up at the top?
Don't you worry, MDF. We'll get there in just a little bit. First off, we got to talk about that game. You are so right. It is chaos here, and you can feel it coming in. Like, it is so apparent that this is game number 5, right? And that we have 1 game left. The tension here from team to team, from moment to moment, it's there. And Vivid, I mean, it has been hyped this entire time, man.
Yeah, I mean, that endgame was complete chaos, as you guys mentioned. And shout out to the OBS team there, because I'm pretty sure they picked up on like every single elim, but there was like 10 of them that happened within like 5 seconds. So I don't even know how they did it. I was confused, but I saw every single elim go down, and it was just chaos. It was awesome.
Yeah, it was. Do you know what? I mean, Narwhal's trio as well. I'm sure we'll see some highlights shortly. You know, we talked about them versus Acorn, Jackson Slacks, and Slurp. Yeah, they've managed to come through that and get the victory royale. But again, Commandment, Scented, and Stretch, not Edgy, they managed once again to somehow, I mean, with the exception of 2 teams who already auto-qualified for the finals, every other major player in NAE is in this lobby. And they're in the final few teams, managing to continue to clutch and clutch and clutch. It's just something else. It's magnificent to watch.
Yeah, that's right. And of course, you guys know we have to do one of these every single broadcast in NAE East. It's time for a very Vivid masterclass.
Love it.
Yes, it is. And I wanted to highlight something coming out of Scented, Commandment, and Stretcher, because essentially when we think about the low ground teams and how they can grab these victory royales or give themselves the best chance at winning these games, right? When they're on the low ground, they got to face a team that is physically above them, right? That higher ground advantage. So what do they do in these types of situations that can kind of give them the best chance to win, right? So as you can see here, Stretch, basically the only thing to do here is kind of spray up at the build. As you can see here, he starts spraying at one of the floors, but then he switches to a build that is further in zone. Now the reason why that is so important to spray at the build that is further in zone is because it forces that player to either one, lose that connection on those builds, or two, run back into zone and continue building. As you can see here, this player is Colazo. Colazo chose to run back into the zone, that way he could try to heal off, but since he had to run back in the zone, he took more zone damage. So Stretch actually ended up winning the heal off. Again here, you can see Stretch and Commandment. They are a duo. You see he looks up, he sees it, he makes at it, and he pings the build. He's like, listen, we're going to shoot again at a build that is in zone, which basically either one is going to force these players to come down because it won't be connected, or two, they're going to have to stay in zone to keep rebuilding it. This team opts to drop down, right, and they take the 50-50. That 50-50 is good for the team on the low ground because essentially they gave up their advantage on height, and now it's a 50-50, right? Like, it's just a shotgun battle, as opposed to before, maybe it was like a 60-40 in favor of the high ground team. So forcing that 50-50 is really good for that low ground team.
That was awesome, dude. I also love the fact that you now have your Vivid Masterclass has kind of like an 80s rollerblading disco soundtrack to it. I love that. I think that's perfect. I love the team. Well, man, that's great. I mean, look at the standings here as well, the leaderboard. You can see here, things are really spicing up now. We mentioned how there's one more game to go, and you can see how things stand going into that final game. Commandment, Scented, and Stretch still in the top, so they have been there all day long. They've been there with one game to go. They're more or less qualified. You can see in 6th position, who will not sadly qualify, at about 40 points off that. We can also see as well now, standings wise, 11 through 20th position as well. Take a look at these. These are the teams that really need to have a great final game to push themselves beyond that 3-figure barrier into the hundreds and get into there or thereabouts towards that top 5. Whether it's going to happen for any of these teams, we don't think it will do, considering the caliber of the players at the top and the consistency today. However, it's all about getting those 2 qualifiers as many points as possible for semi-finals, and spotlighting as well. Here we can see Acorn, Jack, and Slacks, a team we've highlighted today a couple of times, but spotlight and particularly on Acorn right now. Eliminations 8 today, unassisted eliminations 6, and solo eliminations as a top 10 6, and solo impact 26 points. Points coming from just when Acorn is the only team member left on his trio. Something amazing.
Oh, I wasn't writing anything. Don't worry about it. Great. You heard the battle bus beep beep, which means we got to go one last time in NAE from qualifier number 1. Fortnite fam, buckle up. We're on the battle bus one last time. MDF, Reese, over to you guys.
And here it is, ladies and gentlemen. It's about to go down right now. The final battle bus is departing here for this week 1 qualifier, guys. And man, we couldn't have asked for a better set of games here, Reese, because the ballpark figure is the hype scale is pretty high right now.
Hype scale's pretty high indeed. We already know Commandment team is qualified, right? Let's not talk about them. Let's not talk about them. They're fantastic. We can come back at the end of the show. We can say how amazing they are, how beautiful they are, how well they've done all the way through. But second, basically all the way down till 10th is still in it, right? We have a huge amount of teams who can make a top 5. That threshold so far is 132. I expect that roughly to jump up maybe 15 points, roughly something like that. We'll just see. It really depends on how the teams in the lobby actually end up doing so far in this game. But with Muzmir and Buga currently in 2nd, Quiet Yums on paper, the team we're watching right now is in 3rd place. It's getting so close coming into this final match.
Yeah, definitely. And Threats, Edgy, and Rise, talk about a huge jump up. Another 5th place with 5 eliminations. Really, honestly, what they needed to solidify themselves, an opportunity here to go ahead and just win this all and honestly qual their way through with the top 5. But yeah, other teams to continue to keep an eye out, of course, Jamper, Day, and Tragics. They have just been so hot. Niddlecast going to smack, unfortunately, finally fall just shy of top 10 and not exactly where they wanted to go, so they didn't earn too many points here. For Paper Qua and Yamzo, though, way to kick the game off here and find a lava. All right, and your last game could be a little lucky sign for them.
Yeah, obviously they have the advantage in terms of points on the leaderboard over Threats, Edgy, Rise, who's a little bit behind them, but still in 4th. Niddlecast smacked, as you said, same with Jamper, Day, and Tragics. Like, those 3 teams are going to be the ones that are so close in particular battling out, because I can see them all basically making it to endgame and then just relaxing, right? It's like it'd be so, well, let's be real, they're not relaxing, but they're relaxing over the
okay,
threshold.
interesting word.
No, I'll take that back. They're not relaxing. They're doing the opposite of that. Stress is keeping it on up. And I think, you know, that top 6 might be the same way it looks out, but changes things up. But I also want to check in on Slacks, Acorn, and Jack, right? You got to wonder, they've been looking a bit interesting off spawn. They've been disengaging, looking really smart, doing really well, and then coming back and winning those fights. And they've been really doing well out of that so far, but they are just a little bit further behind so far, roughly 10 points.
For a team that's been contested, they are doing so good. Like
Phenomenal.
Slacks, Acorn, and Jack are doing so good. They're, again, contested, by the way. 12th, 9th, 7th, 7th, and a 14th place. And mind you, 14th place at 22 minutes alive with 7 eliminations. So that is a full-on end game there, right? Like a different play, a little bit more material. Anything could be the difference that allows them to go ahead and break into much more points there. So they are playing so well, and they're honestly hanging in for what it's worth here.
Yeah, and they're only one of the top, 6 teams that have a single-digit average placement, right? So they've got a 9.8 average placement so far in their game so far. One of 6 teams. Super impressive for them so far. That's obviously what's been pushing them up above many of the other teams. The elimination's a little bit lower than the teams that are up above them, and that's obviously the big difference maker for a lot of these teams so far. Muzz's team, Muzzmir and Booga, up to 5.6 average eliminations, which is so high for them so far. So it's going to be the critical one. We're going to have to see in this final game, potentially, you know, Slacks, Acorn, Jack, or Jamper Day Tragics end up actually managing to get a good few more elims and obviously trying to get deeper into that end game and push themselves up, solidifying to the top 5.
More fights breaking out here as we swing back on over to the pleasant part. Not so pleasant day going on for Laylam and crew. We're on the run right now. I'll end up losing the high ground here to Quack and Brandon. And this fight, man, this fight's going on round after round. And you know, one thing I want to just briefly mention is how I guess lucky or like great the zones have been today. I know we had that one zone that went over the you know, the river bend there and then kind of made everyone have to come back up. But other than that, we've had like exceptional center zones, just like really good zones that really allow players to, I guess, play at the most hyper competitive levels. So all in all, just a great day of Fortnite, if nothing less, that's been played out so far.
That is indeed. I've been very, very impressed, in particular with the standard of the games in terms of just player numbers, right?
Yeah.
You know, like the first couple games were very, very stacked. You could tell how like cautious the players were, how much they didn't want to take fights, how much they just thought, right, let's see if our strategy works. If we just try to get little tags here, there, left, right, and everywhere. And obviously, you know, as the games have gone on, it's gone a little bit less that, but every single one has been so high quality. And EU, you know, we saw game 2 didn't even have second zone storm surge because they were being so aggressive
And
early
you know
on. What is it?
I was just gonna say it could just be like we said, and this is why the top of show is like key to this moment right now. Those additional crash sites, right? All the extra loot on the map is really allowing teams to have that little bit of extra space, right, to get the material and the loadouts that they need right out the gate here, and that could be the difference here.
Be the warning we need. Brandon Chill's team getting into an interesting fight, but hold on, this is a very important team pushing on in. This is Paper, Yomzo, and Kwa, who obviously we just saw them. They are currently very high up in the leaderboard. They're third, 140 points so far, and if they're looking to get into an engagement, this could be a potentially risky play for them. But Brandon's team has opted to dip on out of there after losing a member. But there was a team pushing up in the back, and the Stacky's team, these guys could be super aggressive. We've barely seen them all day so far. So my guess is they're pretty far down on the leaderboards and trying to get engagement here. They're 18th. So they need a huge game, and obviously almost an impossible game to qualify. And this could be a W key onto Paper, Kwa, and Yomzo. And given that they need points to qualify, this could be rough. But no, if you look at the map in the bottom right, you can see Stacky's team disengaging with Pose and XNB. Paper, Kwa, and Yomzo will live, I was gonna say another day, but another game. Make their way through. A couple materials wasted, no big issue. Heal on up, keep on moving.
Yeah, I would have been concerned if they would have blew through the metal, but they only wasted some wood and some brick there. Definitely expendable material as far as this area of the map goes. They're not going to have an issue finding all those materials to bounce back. It just spawns in abundance here. But on the other side, full on fight going down right now for Joji, Knife, and Donnie once again here. Rough for them. They're taking us all the way into the zone. The zone's moving pretty quickly as well, so it's quite a ways away.
Yeah, it's a bit of an east zone, I think. We'll see if we see a full map view exactly where it is right now. It's Piggy's team, who another team. We've just seen an engagement after engagement after engagement so far, so they're not stopping anytime soon. Another fight with skills, not Nosh, another team who's just been fighting game after game after game. It seems like the same similar teams who've been fighting in this early mid game are just continuing that battle over and over again as the shot tries to be traded, and it's unfortunately a little bit unsuccessful. So for skills, he's gonna have to slow things down, pop a little big pot, and see if he can capitalize on one of the mistakes of the opponents.
Yeah, so far so good for Skittles here, but oh no, enemy cone comes through. He waits for the edit. Beautiful read right there. Tracks him through the cone and hits the shot when it matters most there onto Eden, and all of a sudden he is looking very good here. Bounces right back into the game, has all the material and things you can ask for here as we swing back on over to the unforgotten storm fight of Donnie's trio up against the boys from Team Piggy, it looks like.
I really hope these guys, I really hope they have some medkits, because
Of course not.
you know what, this fight's going nowhere.
The last game.
It's not going anywhere on the leaderboard either, unfortunately, at this point. If these fights keep dragging on out this deep in Storm Donnie, you see he has nothing. He has plenty of shield heals, but I hope Joji or Knife have something that they can work with. The other team, you can see them popping a mate actually down in there, maybe a big pot. So fingers crossed that something comes of this, because so far I'm not hugely hopeful. Let's be real.
Yeah, all that Donnie, Josie, and Knife can honestly hope to earn in this game is high placing series points. They're well out of the money here for a top 5, so this is a fight just to take it honestly and close out the day.
Yeah.
But still, you know, you want to end the best possible no matter what, so no one's gonna
Imagine, like,
everyone's gonna try.
oh, hold on, 2 eliminations, 1 onto the cashew. I think there was a storm, and next one to Hick, so that's just 2 elims super quick, because that's no medkit came through, and another player running, it seems like, at this point for all the builds, and maybe he can make this just laugh. Oh, but no, I think that was a denied elimination down to the storm there. So they're not going to get both. They're going to have to go for the res, and Joji looks weak, and like I said, I don't think they have any white, so I'm interested to see the chain of revives they try to make as they rotate through.
Oh, this is a terrible fight right now for Tragic's Day and Jamper to be a part of, because they are on the brink of breaking into top 5 here, and it looks like Jamper's lost all of his shield here. Tragic's getting pressured as well. We've heard that harpoon coming in from the other side here, and this is a team that has nothing to lose. Kid Crazy, Riff looking to take this full fight, but the third party's coming in. This is going to support Jamper in his cause here. As Riffball gets targeted from behind, so count your lucky stars right now as Jamper Day and Tragics might have just gotten saved by a third-party team unknowingly targeting the other team.
Look, there's one team in this lobby, in this game. I don't want a W key. It's going to be Tragic's Day and Jamper when Tragic's has a gold charge in his inventory. That is not a mistake that you will make a second time. And you know why? Because there's no more games left. So it's just not going to happen for that team at all. That was massive. 3 eliminations pushes them up to 134 so far. So if Nittle, Casker, and Smack don't have any eliminations so far, I'm not sure if we've seen any so far, that actually pushes them above them on the leaderboard. So pushing that team has actually moved them up into 5th in the qualification, actually above Threats, Edgy, and Rise as well, as they were both on 132. So if my mental arithmetic is correct, we have Threats, Edgy, Rise, Little Caster, Smack all on 132, whereas Jamper, Day, and Tragics are on 133. 1 point above that, all of them on the threshold.
So I'm seeing the rocket science numbers fly out right now, right? we got this. The math was correct. I can confirm. I can reaffirm the math here. It's good. On the other side, though, back on DJ Agents and Kanata, listen, 116 points, right? So they are also just in the fight right here. They are in the fight, guys. If they can pull through with an end game here and maybe take out some of the top dogs along the way, that top 5 is going to really start to open up. There is so much opportunity here. This is the team we want to see, though. Jamper Day and Tragics, who just so happen to be right next to Niddle, Casker, and Smack. If we can just get a perspective on what is in their inventories, how many elims Niddle, Casker, and Smack go, that will go a long way, because then we'll get to really figure out where is this team? How are they positioned here, and how close is the competition?
Yeah, for Day's team, This is a west zone. They drop Dirty Dogs, already favorable to them. They got the Storm Surge, like we already mentioned. So I'm betting right now Jamper Day and Transix are looking super strong coming into this.
Right there.
Have to be so easy to get through a qualification unless they obviously make a fundamental error, which is super possible. We're only in the second zone so far for guys like Nil, Casker, and Smack. We saw them contest off spawn. A higher opportunity then to be really scuffed right now. In particular, they're in a close rotation, so they don't have to go too far zone-wise. But this is Spade's team. This is the team that was actually contesting, so we already know that they did not fight successfully off spawn. This could be another elimination going in for Transient's team. I think they maybe got the knock there. I saw somebody down. The shots traded at the same time. The cone comes out. A 33 white shot comes out. He gets dropped down in the box. You don't want to drop Tragic's down when he's got that gold charge. I'm ready to see an over 200 shot with it come on out all the way through, and I think they're just looking to get that finish so far. They don't even necessarily need the remainder of these elims.
Oh, look at this. Tragix does manage to find Voyu there. Okay, so that was the knock they actually picked up onto Voyu, but they did not get the finish, and Day gets punished big time here, forcing them to back up now. And they put it all on the table, but the cars just were not good enough to finish the hand. And listen, you know what? If nothing else, the tags that they got from this was good enough for them to go ahead and earn the respect from the opponents right here, which might still open something up. But Smack, Casker, and Niddle, we wanted to see where they were. They are just outside. I knew they were at the Dirty Docks. I saw them in our peripheral. They don't have a single elimination. They're only 71 damage above, maybe even less. It's just going back and forth here.
Remember, it says that they're currently on 0 points, but they're on 132, so 2 points behind currently. So they are potentially still in the qualification, because you've got to remember that Threads, Edgy, and Rise are on the same amount of points coming into this. But in the feed right now, Threads picks up an elimination onto Atoms. We don't know if it's going to be a full 3 eliminations for them, a full trio wipe, but that has at least pushed them above Nittle's team, which will push them out of the qualification so far.
And that's what I was going to say. One thing we know now for certain then is that Casker, Nittle, and Smack have officially been pushed down. They are being held underneath the top 5 threshold here, with that top 5 is all that these players are looking to attain right now. You know, it's not about anything else other than making it through to the final stage, and they are so close.
Yeah, I'm getting the update so far that Miro went down in the early game, has just been hit with a reboot, so they're a full trio, still on probably around 150 points. If my here we go, bomb them straight away. 150 points.
Nice.
An elimination. That's onto Zlam as well. A team who didn't have an opportunity to get really into the top 5. They're now going to drain a launch pad to hit this rotate, because they have a long way to go and many teams in front of them, and they're 152. Remember, they see tons of teams up in front of them here. It's OMG Me's team, who we've seen quite a few times in the end game so far, but not quite made it into the top 10 yet. And this is still a tough rotate for them. Remember, this could be a ton of shields. Look at Booga's inventory. No heals.
Good.
Any time they get tagged so far, Booga will not be able to heal unless Miro and Muzz have something. Yeah, there we go. The minis are split. So they do have something in their inventory, but it's barely any. But the white HP player that behind them, that could be the freest elimination points that they've ever gotten, and they're obviously not going to look to go, I don't think, for the loot of that, and they're going to focus on the I can't remember the word.
Okay, they're going. I got your back here. They're making the rotate. Don't even worry about it. And that was actually TK who was on the Shadow Stone there. He was under the effects, but they spotted him out. They didn't drop a single beat there. They hit him with all those shots there. Yeah, it's getting pretty crazy here, Reese.
My brain and my tongue, those things are getting crazy because I can't remember the simple words at this point. I'm dropping beats when they are.
2 elims now. for Niddle.
Hold on. Niddle Casker's back indeed. 2 elims. That's 9 points gained. All of the teams in this game will have gained 5 points so far from placement. So they could be roughly tied. I'm starting to lose track of the maths now.
They're doing good. These two elims, yeah, these 2 elims are actually huge here. That allows them to catch up to the gap that was starting to be forced out and made exactly effectively tying them up with the rest of the competition here, keeping it nice and close. Trashy's going to find another one inside the feed there. That is big because Trashy and crew were also just starting to creep on up, but you know what? For Casker, Niddle, and Smack, it's looking a little worse for Wares right now. Smack is not pausing the heal. Okay, never mind. They're trying to get their heals correct here. Looks like big pots are going to have to start coming out. So not having any minis here is definitely a telltale sign that they're starting to run low on shields.
That's rough. I haven't used the jellyfish at the same time.
Oh, look at this. There's Matt right here.
So they've just found an absolute gold mine. I think this is from where the old sideways was. So there's not going to be too many materials or heals in there, but they are going to be able to get something out of this. It's not the gold mine that they would have potentially hoped for, but they're starting to get held by the teams on the reactors in a steamy stacks. They're making a dead side rotate through the full edge, but so many other teams, we see Day's team so close to them, right next to them. If these two teams get into engagement, this is just the run over for the other team almost definitely at this point. But hold on, Smack is getting fully lobby focused by Mikey. The big beams come out. You see Niddle and Cash are trying to trade the shots back, and if anyone starts to spray onto Casker, it could be over. We know how little shield they have. They are so desperate for this right now. They cannot afford to go down. And with the materials they now have, the resources in terms of ammo, in terms of shields, they need to get some sort of refresh, and Calc's team is right next to them.
And Casper gets tagged again down to white HP, and it's also worth mentioning Muzz, Miro, and Booga were taken out. They were also lobby focused the same way Casker is being lobby focused right now. So second place is out. Mind you, they're only 5 above the other teams there as far as points go. That means there's a world where Muzz, Miro, and Booga do not qualify when coming into the final game in second place. It is just that close. Take a look at Day's points there. Day, who was outside the running, has earned more points. Smack goes down. Here comes the save here. But no, Smack is fully finished. Casper's going to get picked up here, and this is what we're talking about. Luckily, they do have a little bit of heals, but it is so close now for them.
Yeah, they're currently on 141 points. It seems like Looter's team's really starting to get their eyes open, trying to put the focus on, and Nell's got more materials to work with now than we had previously, but at the same time, those teams are getting super close, and it seems like a lobby spray's come out and potentially saved them here. Yes, as Looter goes down, so the lobby focus comes absolutely clutch, as Casker now is just one lick away from going down with the amount of HP. As we know, he has a medkit in inventory. We know there's the splash there too, so this could be a run for them on 141 points. They just have to stay in this a little bit longer.
Oh my gosh,
to see what they can do. I'm trying to get an update on Muzz, Miro, Booga, how many points they went out on, because that's going to be critical right now.
Yeah, I don't think it's enough. I don't think it's enough to 1000% say, like, with certainty that they've done it. And even now, like, this point threshold is just that close, and we haven't even gotten to the real placements. Here it is. We got to break into like top 17, top 15, right? We got to get up there if you want real placements. Look at Dave, Travis, and Jamper with 5 eliminations. They've managed to really earn tons of points before we even reach the mid game. Now we're starting to get there to the back half half of this race here, the back half of this tournament. Casker goes down once again. This time jumped on top of Niddle's not going to be able to get the save here. He's going to go for the full-on flyby. He goes into the stack, and up above is the team just sitting there, but it's okay. He doesn't care about any of that. He just wants to get inside, get safe here. He finds himself a little opportunity here, and it's enough. There's enough room between him and the rest of the lobby here to buy himself a couple opportunities to just again eat away at the clock.
So Muzz, Mir and Booga went down 154 points.
Oh my gosh.
154 points. Gotta remember right now the Nailcaster Smack started this on 132. They got 9, which means they are currently on 141 points, right? So as a solo, Nittle, that little mark at the bottom is currently on 9. You're going to need to see that say 22 or 23. So one of the two, because I'm not sure. It depends on how many eliminations they get on average, because it may go down to tiebreaker if they get 22. If you see 23 points there, they've 100% qualified through over Muzz, Miro, and Booga and push them out.
That's what it's going to come down to. It's going to come down to how many points can Niddle make as a solo. We saw Iyamzo in that position where he had to clutch up. We saw Kanata in the same position where he had to clutch up. We've seen every single team face their own different hurdles in this Fortnite tournament tonight, and it's only getting closer and closer. Here it is. The zone's going to pop. It's going to reveal itself. The rotates are going to have to start coming through, and guess who's got the lead on it? Day, Travis, and Jamper. This is everything they could have asked for right now. It's going to pull right back in the same direction they came from. So they're going to have, honestly, the advantage over most of the lobby. The pressure's coming in top, though. Everyone also wants to get a piece of this low ground layer for the free rotate, and they're going to start cutting across here. They're also below the surge. Mind you, this is a very big surge here. 20 players have to go down. They're not going to get this for free. They're going to have to fight.
They're going to have to fight for it. You saw Tragic's already getting fully beamed at the same time. So many players are going to be up in the sky because of the stacks and the position that it's in right now.
Is this the
so
right
for
move?
Ace team, they have to figure out, can they look up? And for Nil, hold on, Nil's on 36 HP by himself. 3 builds left to his name. Remember, he needs to get a lot more points, 14 more points to ensure that he qualifies right now, because he's been kicked out of the qualification threshold, and he has got 1 HP. 1 HP and a dream. A blue pump, maybe hitting a 175 to get some eliminations and get him back in this. You cannot be any closer. But the storm, no, the storm. Oh my God! He's gonna catch up to him. He needs to keep chopping through. He cannot stay here. He cannot take a single tick to this zone.
He's looking around, but no, he's going to turn around. Instead gets found. There's the storm surge becomes active. One of the first players ticked out of the lobby, and there it is. Dreams are crushed as he goes down on high ground. Calc trying to make his comeback story here, but we're going to have to come back to that, as Day, Travis, and Jamper are also just 11 above the surge here. We were wondering if the rotate was enough. It looks like it was good enough to keep them alive here and in the game. For Degen, Kanata, and Azers, they have a chance here to jump back, but they're going to need a big game and big elims as well. The surge is active. Degen, you have to fight. Find a tag, please. He's 22 above now. 2 Two more have to go down here, Reese. It is coming down to the actual wire, and they don't have any heals.
They don't have any heals, but the Storm Surge is now over. The pressure comes away from them. They have the med kit, which could be huge because all three of the members of the team need to pop those whites, but that zone now starts pulling to the south. They have zero time to do so to pop it. We see threats. This team still in this on low ground, almost a guaranteed qualification from them. Day, Tragic, Jamper now on 154 points. This was the same amount of points that Muzz, Miro, and Buka were on before they were eliminated. So this may move them down. I'm almost certain that this team has qualified. But the real question is, who are they pushing out? Who are the teams down below them? And who has managed to clutch up big time? Is it DJ, Aegis, Canada, Slacks, Acorn, Jack? Is Jamper Dave and Tragics? It's Threats, AGY. So many teams could still make it into the top 5.
Definitely, it is coming down to it right here. It's a back and forth contest for who can actually edge out these other players here. DJ and Aegis do manage to get off both the heals that they were looking for. Those med kits were good, but there's no shield, so that means there's no time to waste here, and you can't not miss a pump shot. Where are they going to go? Up or down? They're going to go to get brought down. There was no decision to be made there. Aegis falls. Degen falls. The full finish. Once again, it's up to Kanata here to clutch up. Bring his team all the way through. He misses a shot. He doesn't miss the second, though. That's on to send it. Get him out of here. He does not need to be in this lobby. They have made it. More points for Kanata now. Can he continue to earn more? He's definitely getting it here. Through the placement points. A big 120, Reese. And it's a knock onto Tragic. Kanata doesn't stop.
Kanata does not stop one bit. No